Thanks and praises are due to Allah, and prayers and blessings be on our beloved Prophet Muhammadﷺ. So today, inshallah, we're going to have a new dars, our series, Scenes from the Life of Prophet Muhammadﷺ. And I'm very happy to see these beautiful faces. May Allah unite us in Jannah. So from the wonderful things that Rasulullah ﷺ had in his personality was him making sure that his companions were doing good. Meaning that if he didn't see them in the masjid for a while, he would ask about them. He would ask the Sahaba to look for them to see what's going on, why they're not coming to the masjid. And even though Rasulullah ﷺ was the leader of Medina, and all the burden of the ummah was on his back, but yet he never forgot his companions. And from the incidents that we can have to see how Rasulullah ﷺ checked up on his Sahaba was one mentioned and narrated by Imam Malik in his Muwatta, where Yahya ibn Sa'id, on the authority of Yahya ibn Sa'id, he mentioned that on the day of Uhud, the battle of Uhud that took place in the year 3 Hijriya, and Rasulullah ﷺ, with the tragic loss that they had, where Rasulullah ﷺ was heavily injured, and he lost his uncle Hamza radiallahu anhu, and 70 of the companions were martyred on that day. But with all of these, Rasulullah ﷺ still cared for the companions. So he asked the Sahaba, can someone find me the news of Saad ibn Rabee al-Ansari radiallahu anhu? So Saad ibn Rabee was known to be from the heads of the Ansar and from the most rich of the Ansar. And Rasulullah ﷺ asked the Sahaba to go see where he's at, because he's not seeing him. So one of the Sahaba said, I will do it, O Rasulullah ﷺ. And he went and started looking between the deceased, the Sahaba that were martyred and the Sahaba that were injured, to try to find Sa'd ibn Rabee for Rasulullah ﷺ. And imagine the scene of this Sahabi looking at his companions and brothers that were on the ground, either martyred or injured. Imagine the pain and the sorrow that he had towards his brothers. And while he was looking, Sa'd ibn Rabee radiallahu anhu, while he was laying on the ground, he asked the Sahabi, what are you doing? And the Sahabi went to him and said, Rasulullah ﷺ told me to look for you. And this Sahabi told him, and listen to these beautiful words. He said, go back to Rasulullah ﷺ and send him my salam, meaning my greetings. And tell my people, meaning the Ansar, the native people of Medina, that you do not have an excuse in front of Allah Azza wa Jal if something happened to Rasulullah where he's killed. You have no excuse in front of Allah Azza wa Jal. Even though he's in his last breath, because he mentioned that I am mortally wounded, because he had 12 stabs in his body, and he knew that he's going to pass away, because it's very hard for his wounds to heal. Even though he was in his last breath, he made sure to give the advice to his people to protect Rasulullah ﷺ, to make sure that Rasulullah ﷺ is safe between the Sahaba. Their highest priority was to make sure that Rasulullah ﷺ was able to deliver the message that they took in. The message that took them out of darkness, from worshipping the creation to the light and nur of worshipping the Creator. So when we look to ourselves and we see that the times we're living in, we're seeing that the rights of Muslims are being taken away, and the Muslims are being harassed, with what's going on, especially the things that they mostly love and mostly adore, which is their deen. We're seeing that Rasulullah ﷺ is being cursed. And we're seeing that the sunnah of Rasulullah ﷺ is being cursed. And the wives of his, and the Sahaba, and the Quran, all of it is being cursed. On top of it, the Quran is being burned. Yet we're doing nothing. I'm not calling for violence by any means, but we should show the people around us that when our deen, our beloved religion is being harassed, that we're angry. We show them that this is a red line, that nobody is supposed to go past. It's not about freedom of religion, it's not about freedom of speech, it's not about freedom of anything. As long as you're harassing me, it's not freedom anymore. So we're supposed to take the banner from the Sahaba, because when Rasulullah ﷺ was living with them, they made sure that he was protected physically. But now we're supposed to take the banner from them, that whenever Rasulullah ﷺ is mentioned, we send salutation upon him. And we protect his honor, his message, and his da'wah. Another incident that was mentioned by Imam Bukhari and Imam Muslim in their Sahihain, that it was on the authority of Anas ibn Malik radiyallahu anhu, that when the second ayah of Surah Al-Hujurat was revealed upon Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam, which is أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا ترفعوا أصواتكم فوق صوت النبي ولا تجهروا له بالقول كجهر بعضكم لبعض أن تحبط أعمالكم وأنتم لا تشعرون. O you who believe, do not talk loudly in front of Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam, and do not raise your voices in front of Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam, and talk loudly as if you were talking to one another, lest your deeds will nullify and you do not know what's going on. You do not realize what's going on. So when Thabit Ibn Qais radiyallahu anhu, when he heard this verse, he stayed at his house. He didn't go back to the masjid of Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam, because he thought that he was from the people of hellfire because of this. And the thing is, Thabit Ibn Qais was known to be the official speaker of Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam. Because what happened is, when tribes used to come and visit Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam in Medina, there were a custom in the Arabian Peninsula where when a tribe visits another tribe or another group of people, they used to have each group of them used to have a speaker come out and give a speech in front of everyone. So Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam, when it was the turn of Thabit ibn Qais, he would tell him to stand up and give that speech, because he was known for his charisma, his loud voice, and his eloquency when he's talking. So when we hear that, we know that when a person gives a speech, they have to raise their voice. And this ayah was talking about raising your voice in front of Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam. So he took from this verse that his actions are nullified. This is why he stayed at home. Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam, when he was in the masjid, he asked Saad ibn Mu'adh radiyallahu anhu, and he told him, Abu Amr, where is Thabit ibn Qais? Is he sick? And Saad ibn Mu'adh said to Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam, he is my neighbor. If he was sick, I would have heard. So Saad ibn Mu'adh went to the house of Thabit ibn Qais, and when he entered, he saw that Thabit ibn Qais was putting his head like this, and he was very sad. So he went up to him and told him what Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam said in the masjid. Thabit ibn Qais said that I am indeed in badness and in evil, because when this ayah was revealed, I knew that this was for me, so I can't go to the masjid. My actions are nullified. So what do you think Saad ibn Mu'az said to his companion Thabit Ibn Qais? Do you think he told him that no, it's not for you, maybe for someone else? Or no, you were doing this for the sake of Allah, it's not you? He consoled him, or did he make it worse on him? But rather, he didn't say anything. He went back to Rasulullah ﷺ and told him what happened. But then Rasulullah ﷺ, what he said is that go back to Thabit and tell him that you're not from the people of hellfire, but rather you're from the people of heaven. You're from the people of heaven, of Jannah. Allahu Akbar. What kind of news is this? It's the best news that a person can get in their life, to know that they are from the people of Jannah, from the people of heaven. So when we see that Rasulullah ﷺ, he would always make sure that his companions were good. His companions were doing good, and he makes sure that nothing bad is going with them. When he misses them, he actually sees where they're at, and he would send the Sahaba to look for them. But when we look at our lives, when we see someone missing from the masjid, or missing from work, or missing from school, or missing from college, or any place that we go to, do we ask, what happened to this brother? Or do we just ignore it? Do we start asking maybe his family or his friends, or maybe we go and visit him and see what's going on, or we just forget about it? When we look into the life of Rasulullah ﷺ, this is what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to ask about him, because if he's sick, maybe we can get him the medication that he needs, or maybe we can go and visit him. If he fell into a problem, we can go and try to help him with his problem and solve it for him. But another thing that we can talk about is, are we talking to our family members and our relatives? Are we making sure that the bond that we have with them is not severed? Are we making sure that we talk to them every once in a while, or if they're actually near, we go and visit them to see what's going on with them? Rasulullah ﷺ mentioned a lot in his hadith about Salat Al Maghrib, having the connection and tie with your family members and your relatives. So when we hear this, we should try, inshaAllah, to implement it in our lives, and try to seek the sunnah in order for us to be on the way of Rasulullah ﷺ. Because the way of Rasulullah ﷺ is also the way to heaven. بارك الله فيكم وجزاكم الله خيرا. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.